What's going on, YouTube? Back again today with another video for you guys, and as you can kind of tell, there's a little bit of a different setup going on here. Normally I'm sitting right back there in that chair, and that's where I film my videos, but I've got enough of my nerd basement kind of put together now at this point to where um, I can I don't mind more of it being in the shot, so to speak. So I'm probably going to do most of my videos from over here at this point. I may still do a few over there if I want to use the computer to kind of like show some stuff online, but for the most part, this is going to be the new look. And I also recently got a PlayStation 5, so I pretty much gave up PC gaming. Like, there's some old school games that I'm going to be playing on PC still. Like, I love the Total War series and stuff like that. Um, but I'm a console gamer at heart. I thought the Steam Deck was cool and how it like directly like connected to your Steam account, so it would make it like seamless to go from like sitting at your PC gaming, or you could get up and take the Steam Deck and continue your game wherever. But yeah, PC gaming is ass. It's just a lot of fiddle fucking around to try and like adjust settings and get the frame rate right and FSR2 and fucking refresh rate fucking gigahertz fucking dumb bullshit. Like, I'm not a game designer. I'm not a techie game designer guy. I don't want to be. I never have. I just want to play the games, right? I don't want to make them work. I just want to play them. And that's a console gamer. I did choose, I think, what is ultimately the better version of, not the better version, the better of the two, like between the PlayStation 5 or the Xbox Series X or S. Definitely better than the S, but yeah, the PlayStation 5 just seems to be like, as far as consoles go, they're kind of pushing the envelope forward, whereas Xbox seems like, let's just stick with what we're best at, even though they've given up what they're best at. Like, they have Halo. That's it. Anyway, the title of this video, Absolute DC. The three launch titles are out, and we're gonna go over them. I also have the DC All In Special #1. Read that. That came out the same week that Absolute Batman did. So we're gonna go in order here. I wanted to wait till they were all out, and I could get kind of like a truly comprehensive idea of and feel for this new, what is essentially DC's Ultimate Universe. So now that they're all three out, Superman came out yesterday, and I read it. So we're gonna go through the entirety of this. So DC All In #1, the one shot special. It's two books in one. Like, so if you look at it this way, it's got the traditional DC characters on the cover, and if you read it, you know, from this starting from this side, you get the normal DC universe's story of how it was involved in the creation of the Absolute Universe and how it's connected to it. But if you start from this side, which is where you got the absolute versions of the Trinity here, you start out with Darkseid and what he's currently up to and what he's currently dealing with. And it goes into he's on a hunt to find the Spectre, because Darkseid has realized that some kind of like great truth has been hidden from him his entire existence. And he comes to the conclusion that the only one who would know what it is, who could tell him the truth and reveal it to him, is the Spectre. So he goes, he hunts down the Spectre, kills a bunch of people in his way, and Darkseid bonds with the Spectre. He forces the Spectre to bond. Darkseid actually builds a miracle machine so that he can use it to force the Spectre to bond with him. And once him and the Spectre are one, he has the secret revealed to him. And the secret is, and I'm not so sure how much of a secret this is. The secret is Darkseid is like a fixed point in the cosmos. Like, Darkseid must always exist. In the infinite multiverse of DC, because I guess it is back to being an infinite multiverse, but nobody gives a shit. Like, nobody gives a shit about the infinite worlds. All right, you can have like one or two, maybe three alternate realities, and beyond that, people like none of them. Nobody's gonna give a fuck about any of them. It's just an excuse for writers to tell their fucking wacky, weird stories that no one really wants to read anyway. So, yeah, best to just stick to like one or two universes, guys. But anyway. Darkseid finds out that he's like a fixed point in the cosmos, and he must always exist in all of the different alternate realities and different Earths. There is only one Darkseid, because he's this like concrete cornerstone of the cosmos. He is a predetermined, set in stone piece that must always exist. He balances the scales of light and dark and good and evil and blah blah blah, right? And so, like I said, not really sure how big of a reveal that is. I wasn't shocked to hear that. I didn't think it was too terribly revolutionary to consider Darkseid in that way. So what essentially happens is Darkseid allows himself to be killed by the Justice League of the normal universe. But Darkseid being a fixed point in the infinite cosmos of DC, he cannot truly die. He's kind of like anybody who's watched season 2 of The Rings of Power on Amazon. He's kind of like Sauron. He's kind of like one of the Maiar or whatever. Like you can destroy his physical form, but his essence lingers on, and it can regroup and recuperate and regather itself. And what Darkseid did was they killed Darkseid's physical form. But supposedly, this is the story they're going with, when they destroy his physical form, it releases what Darkseid truly is, his essence, out into the infinite cosmos. It's no longer bound. Darkseid's essence, all his evil and whatever, is no longer bound to one physical body. It's now energy. Darkseid has become an energy force, a somewhat conscious energy force out in the cosmos. And Darkseid travels to this world that they're calling like I can't remember if they call it the Alpha world or the Omega world. And it's a brand new, rather unformed, very still in its early stages of development reality. And what Darkseid does in his like pure energy essence form is he goes to that reality. They call it Earth Alpha, Earth Omega, whichever one it is, and they also call it the Elseworld. Not like there used to be just Elseworlds, and that was kind of like the name for all the alternate Earths. Now there's this one. It's called the Elseworld. That's what the normal DC universe that we've normally been following for like decades and decades, 80 plus years. They refer to this reality as the Elseworld. Darkseid in his like energy essence form goes there and infects the fuck out of it with himself, with his very essence. And what he does is he creates a specific reality, a specific universe within the infinite DC universes that is not based in hope and justice and light and courage and honor, and it's not based in good, it's based in evil, right? It's a universe where the bad guys are set up to win and the good guys are the underdogs. And if the good guys want to triumph, they're really going to have the odds set against them. It's a world where it's what I'm hearing from this, and this is a good thing, is it's a world where that actually needs superheroes, right? Like Frank Miller said when he was doing like in an interview where he was talking about why he wrote The Dark Knight Returns the way he did. He wrote it because superhero comics had become this like happy-go-lucky, campy, silly, childish thing where it's like the world that the superheroes existed in was pretty docile and tame. And it's like there doesn't really seem to be a need for these heroes in this world. They're just kind of there, right? The world is peaceful and safe. And yeah, there's supervillains, but they're lame and they're doing dumb shit. They're not really trying to murder, maim, kill, destroy. They're just doing wacky little escapades, and the superheroes have to go. It's like a game. It had become like a silly little game. Superheroes stop the supervillains like kids in the backyard playing cops and robbers or cowboys and Indians like a long time ago. It was just a game. And Frank Miller wanted to create a world that actually felt like needed heroes. The world was in a bad place and it needed fucking heroes. And it latched on, it did well. The Dark Knight Returns is what spawned the reinvigoration of Batman into this like Dark Knight brooding vigilante, gothic urban legend character. It was like when they really kind of started to consider like maybe we should ditch the fucking light blue and gray outfit and go with a darker color scheme for Batman and whatnot. He'd worn that light blue and gray outfit for decades. And that seems to me like what Scott Snyder's the one behind this absolute DC stuff. That seems to be what he's going for here. This is a universe, a continuity that it actually needs superheroes because the odds are set against them. The world is fucked. Things are not going well for the good people of the universe. The bad guys have it made, and it actually needs heroes. That's what we've wanted to see for a long time. I've kind of felt like DC when DC first made its venture into doing a live action film universe with Man of Steel and Batman vs Superman, the greatest criticism about DC at the time, solely based on what people had seen in live action films. It was people making their opinion based on the Dark Knight trilogy, Man of Steel, and Batman vs Superman, and it was just, it's dark, it's too dark. And then DC did this like really panic attack pendulum shift to the complete opposite end of the spectrum, where they were like, go light with everything, super, just happy, fun, flowers, sparkles, sprinkles, rainbows, happy, fun. And it had become, DC had become too docile and it wasn't edge, it had no edge. Like, I admit, like, I don't want it to just be this like really edgy edgelord thing, but it needs to have some edge, and they'd lost all of their edge. The edge is back. The edge is 100% back in the Absolute Universe. Does it get a little too edgy at some points? Yes, and we're going to go over that, but that's essentially the theme here. Now, how does the Absolute Universe connect to the main universe? Well, the main DC universe and all of its characters there, the Justice League, they are aware of what has happened in the event of Darkseid's physical death. They are aware that he physically died, but then they notice, because they're monitoring, they now have the ability to monitor all the realms of the cosmos, the infinite cosmos. They notice that this one world, the Elseworld, that was rather unformed in its very early stages of development, all of a sudden it had changed. So they were like, we got to send someone there to see what the fuck happened. And they sent Booster Gold. They sent Booster Gold with the intention of just like, go there, do a little recon, scout it out, come back and report to us what you find. Well, Booster Gold goes there. They send him there. And in the process of sending him there, it kind of goes wrong. And Booster Gold ends up trapped. Main DC continuity Booster Gold from the main DC universe. He ends up trapped in the Absolute Universe. And he doesn't have his little Skeets robot. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He shows up. And by the way, he shows up in the Absolute Universe far, far into the Absolute Universe's future. Like, he shows up in the 31st century of the Absolute Universe to find not the Legion of Superheroes, the Legion of Darkseid. So that's the if there is a crossover to be done here between Absolute DC and normal DC, that's the crossover. It's way down the line in the future when we finally get into the 31st century and the Legion of Superheroes type era. It's not the Legion of Superheroes. It's kind of like, did Darkseid win? Because he has a Legion of Darkseid character, like evil people. So it's interesting. There's a lot of questions, and it's good questions. It's the kind of questions it makes you ask, and you want to keep reading the series to get the answers. Do I have any intention of reading normal DC from this point forward? No, I don't give a fuck. It's all about the Absolute. And that brings us to my main point of why the Absolute Universe is killing it right now. It's selling out everywhere. I had Absolute Batman in my pull list, so I got a copy of it, but it's sold out. I can't find another copy of it anywhere, and I've been looking because I will say this, DC, your paper and page quality is ass. Like, during my first just read through of this book, it started to fall apart in the central seam area, and I had to tape it together, and now it's kind of wonky and off, and the page is sticking out. I've been trying to get another copy, and I can't find it anywhere, which, you know, it sucks that I can't get another copy of it, but at the same time, I'm happy to hear that it is selling like hotcakes. And Absolute Wonder Woman is sold out. Absolute Superman came out yesterday, and there were multiple people in there yesterday buying it. Like, everyone is reading this shit. Everyone who's into comics, everyone who pays attention to comics and or DC is aware of this Absolute DC stuff going on, and it is selling. People are into it, and here's why. I've been saying this for a long fucking time on this channel. DC, I understand that you guys would rather commit to creativity and being able to just like express yourselves and, you know, do your vision of these characters and tell your story. There's my dog, by the way. You want to commit to creativity and just letting the artists express themselves. The consumer base that pays you money don't give a fuck about your creativity. We want a good story with real canon and continuity that we can follow from point A to point B to point C to point D without a bunch of timey-wimey, parallel, alternate reality, time travel, fiddly fuck flip arounds. We don't care. We don't want to do that shit. reboots and fucking, oh, this was canon, but then this character traveled back in time and did that, but then, this one did that, and now who knows what's canon. It had gotten convoluted and messed up. The last time DC's continuity was this bad, they did Crisis on Infinite Earths, and they wiped it clean, and they said, fuck it, there's one reality and one timeline, period. This time around, they haven't done that. They've tried what I think is arguably a smarter idea. They've said, for all of you out there who want to keep following main DC, by all means, keep following it. For those of you who want a linear narrative with a cohesive continuity, we're going to give you that in the Absolute Universe. And guess what? People are drawn to this. So, told you so. I'm not even going to say I hate to tell you I told you so, because I don't hate it. I'm happy to tell you I told you so. That's what's great about the Absolute Universe. It is an untampered with, cohesive continuity and narrative that flows and makes sense, because it started over from square one. I've been saying they should do this for a long time, and now they've finally done it, and it's beautiful. So that's how the Absolute Universe got started. So let's go into Absolute Batman number 1. Love this. Couple gripes, but I love it overall. So right off the bat, another thing I've always been saying about, like, if you were to do an Ultimate style universe, or if you were to just restart your entire continuity from square one, what you got to do is you got to update it for a modern generation in the modern era. You don't really need to change the characters and who they are at their core, and you don't need to do an absolutely drastic costume change. You can with some characters. Other characters you can't. Their costume is part of the character, and people get upset when you change it. You can tweak it a little bit here and there, but what you mainly want to change is you want to look at the world of today versus the world 20, 30 years ago, the last time you started the story over. And what's different about the world? Well, and this is kind of dark, but I like it because I've been saying, like, look at what's new about the world today. Look at what's current about the world today. And what's current about the world today is Bruce Wayne's, not his parents, his father gets killed by an active shooter. When I saw, like, you open up to the page, right? And it's this. And it says the zoo. And then you turn the page. I mean, I kind of had an idea. I was like, there's no way they're going to go there. And then you get a little farther into it, and you see flashbacks of Bruce going to his father's his school teacher at a public school in Gotham, and they're on a field trip at the zoo, and you're like, that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, fuck. They're going to do an active shooter thing in this book. And they do. And yeah, that was not a thing 20 to 30 years, maybe 20, but that was not a thing 30 years ago. And it sure as fuck wasn't a thing when DC first started 80-something years ago. So yeah, not trying to start a socio-political conversation here. I'm just mentioning that, like, they did what I said they need to do, which is they need to look at modern current events, and they need to look at the world of today and frame this universe around that. Another big theme particularly with Batman and Superman is an emphasis on working class people, right? It's no more of this like the exceptional people are the heroes. Batman now comes from a working middle class family. He's not the son of a billionaire. He's not the heir to a billionaire fortune. None of that. He comes from a working class family. He is still a genius. He is still highly trained and educated, but he's self-taught and self-trained and self-educated. He did it all on his own. That's a cool concept, and I like it in here. Where I really hope they don't go with this is I don't want to see them veer into the territory, the socio-political territory of, like, rich people are bad. That's dumb, right? It also just sounds petty. Like when you try to push this narrative that rich people are evil, like being rich makes you evil, that's so lazy. It's so lazy, it's so petty, and it just comes off very jealous. It's like, are they really evil, or are you just kind of jealous of their wealth? Like, and that's what with this working class average Joe type stuff, trust me, it's in the Absolute Superman book too. I hope that the people behind this, particularly Scott Snyder and all the other writers, I hope they have a true understanding of working middle class people. Because I'll tell you right now, like, I've been working middle class my entire life. My parents were working middle class, and there is just a level of financial security and stability that you reach in life where you're good to go, your financial responsibilities are taken care of, you're making enough money to take care of yourself and everything you need to take care of, and you still have enough money left over to enjoy yourself and have a good life. And once you reach that level, you don't really envy multimillionaires and billionaires. If anything, you're kind of just like, you see a billionaire or a multimillionaire, and you kind of just look at him and go, hey, good for you, man. Like, wow, you really did it. Like, good job. Like, do I think that to become that wealthy, some sketchy shit had to have probably been done at some point? Maybe, but you know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I don't see the point in me bitching about it. Is my stance. Like, what it, like, I'm good to go. Me and my wife, we work, we make good money, we make plenty of money, we take care of ourselves. I don't really feel the need to be petty and jealous and talk shit on rich people just for being, it's like, good for them, whatever. That's my outlook on it anyway. So I hope they don't go in that direction. Like, the rich people are the bad guys. Being rich means you're a villain. It means you're evil. No, it doesn't. Right? No, it doesn't. Not inherently. Right? Are there bad people who are rich? Yes. But there's also good people who are rich too. And Bruce Wayne used to be a representation of that. But whatever. I don't know. That's all I have to say about that. So anyway, the only other thing in here that I don't really like, I'm trying not to give away too many spoilers. Like I said, he is a self-made Batman. He's highly intelligent. So he trained himself in mixed martial arts and hand-to-hand combat. He trained himself in engineering and computer science and all that kind of stuff. It says in here that he is like a genius. Like, he has genius level intellect. And he's been preparing to be Batman for a long time, but he did it all locally and like within like whatever state of the US that Gotham is supposed to be set in. He did it all within that state. He went to the best university in that state on a football scholarship, but then he faked an injury so that he wouldn't have to play football. And Alfred Pennyworth, who is like a private contractor, military secret agent asset type person in this, he looks into Bruce Wayne's past. Like, he uncovers rather quickly who Batman is. And he figures out it's Bruce Wayne. And he's like, you faked an injury so that you got the scholarship to play football, because in this, Bruce is a big dude. He's 6'2", 6'4", outside of the bat suit. And in the bat suit, he's 7 feet tall. He's a big dude, and he's muscle bound and strong. So he got a football scholarship to the best, he says, in the best college in the state. But he faked an injury very early on in college. And Alfred said, he's like, I've seen men in the field, in the military, fake an injury to avoid getting actually hurt. And Alfred's like, I suspect that's what you did, Bruce, because you wanted to save your physical body for being Batman later on. You just needed the scholarship to go to college. So at school, he studied, chemistry, computer science, engineering, all that kind of stuff, so he could build the tech and stuff that he needs. And yeah, he trained himself in hand-to-hand combat, mixed martial arts. He built himself his own bat suit, and he also interned and worked, at different areas of the city. Like, where is it in here? Sorry, I know, I'll find it here quickly. He worked for the city power grid, the electrical whatever. Then he worked at the water department. Then he worked in sanitation. Then he interned at City Hall studying public policy, macro and micro. Like, he fully integrated himself into the city and studied it at every level. And then he finally settled on a job as a civil engineer for Gotham City. And yeah, that's what he does now. He's 24 years old, built like a brick shit house, and that's what he does. And now he's waging this crusade against crime in Gotham. And his mother is still alive. That was another big change. Martha Wayne, Bruce Wayne's, I'm assuming her first name's Martha. Bruce Wayne's mom is not dead. She's alive. Now, I don't yet, we'll see how they play this. But having her alive, for me, almost makes it seem like, are we sure he would end up being Batman if his mother was still alive? Because, like, yes, I'm not saying that the loss of a father to, like, something like an active shooter isn't enough to make someone want to seek vengeance and be angry about that. It is. But it's like when you have a parent, like a mother, who's still alive and with you, and she's going through it with you, I feel like the mom would have helped kind of guide Bruce in a more productive path and make sure he, like, got him the help he needed and making sure he got over the trauma of losing his father. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the mom lost her shit too there for a while. We have yet to find out. Like, maybe she kind of fell off the deep end for a little while with the death of her husband. And she was not, and there was a little while there where she was not necessarily the best, most attentive mother for Bruce. Who knows? We have yet to find that out. All I'm saying is, like, I'm a little skeptical of the mom still being alive, but we'll see how they play it out. And then people have been bitching about how in this Batman is just so big. He looks big on this cover, and don't get me wrong, compared to he's a big dude. Like, here he is in the boxing gym. And he's standing next to another just like average guy who works out at the boxing gym, and this is Bruce. Like, you can tell he's definitely meant to be bigger than that guy. And here he is, like, working the bag and stuff. He's a big boy. But I mean, it's not like we have never seen a 6'2", 6'4", very muscular guy in real life. Like, those people do exist. It's not that unheard of, right? He's just a big dude. He's not the Hulk. He's just a big dude for a human. And he's just on the bigger, more muscular, brawny side. I really didn't find the size to be a problem. Now, the bat suit itself. Overall, I think it's pretty fucking cool. Normally, I don't like Batman with, like, ears on the cowl this long. But for some reason in this, I think it's, I don't know, it just works for this. Like, here's a picture of him jumping down from the up above. He was, like, hiding, and he's jumping down on some goons. Like, this looks dope. I like that, like, there's armor on over the neck and the shoulder blades and comes down over the shoulders. I like that aspect of it. I like, like, normally I hate the underwear, the trunks, but this, they're almost like shorts. So I don't know. I overall, I think the costume works, except for one thing. And I think you all know what I'm about to say. Really, Scott? A battle axe? If you guys haven't figured it out by now, Scott Snyder is oddly obsessed with the idea of Batman using a battle axe. Like, if you look at, he wrote Dark Knight's Metal, and if you look at that story, Batman is also wielding a pair of battle axes. And in this, he gave him, like, this, like, these, like, high strength pliers and this big bat symbol. When this was first released, this image, people were like, what the fuck is up with that bat symbol? It's just a fucking rectangle. Like, what is up with that? Well, now we know what was up with that. He did it that way so that it could be an axe. And that's just, to me, that's overkill, right? Prior to you seeing him take the axe off of his chest, the long ears on his cowl, they can actually come out of the sides of the cowl, and they're actually like blades, like small little, like, knives. And he actually, like, uses them to, like, fucking knife fight people. And Alfred is up on a rooftop watching him in his first, like, outing as Batman, fighting all these goons. And Alfred comments on how, like, well done. He's like, you absolutely fucked up all these guys. And it was very bloody. He's like, they bled a lot. But there were 0 fatalities. Like, you knew what you were doing. You trained yourself well. You made sure not to hit any serious arteries. You just hit areas on the body that would bleed. But not enough to kill. Like, no one was going to die. Alfred made that very clear watching him. And Alfred's supposed to be like this, like, military, mercenary, expert professional, so Alfred would know. He's like, well done. Like, I'm rather impressed. Like, you absolutely, you very bloodily fucked these guys up, but you didn't kill a single one of them. Good job. But then we get to this part where this guy comes at him with this cleaver, and Bruce just takes his own axe off of his chest And then he lops this guy's hand off. Right? Now he says some shit about how like I hear they can reattach them sometimes. You better get to a hospital or something like that. And I'm like, okay, let's pump the brakes here for a second. Not to get super dark here, but like what is one of the common ways that people like commit suicide? Slitting their wrists? Okay. Why is that a common way? Is it because there are major arteries in your wrist that you'll bleed out and die? Yes. So Bruce severed those, and this guy is now bleeding profuse. This isn't like a superficial bleed. This guy is probably gonna die. Especially if Bruce tells him like, I don't know where the nearest hospital is, but I'd run. So Bruce cut this guy's hand off. He's losing massive amounts of blood, and now he's telling him to run, which is going to make his heart beat faster and pump blood even faster to try and find a hospital. This guy's going to die. It doesn't show the guy die, so we can still cling to this. Batman doesn't kill, but come on, man. Like, if you're going to have Batman use a battle axe, Scott Snyder, you got to just give this shit up. Right? I know you think it's really cool, the idea of Batman using a battle axe, but that's just too lethal of a weapon for Batman. Sorry. Like, let it go. That's my advice, that's my opinion on that. I would rather do away with the battle axe, and I would change the suit to put a little bit more. The bat symbol on the chest can still be big, just make it shaped more like a bat and not just this rectangle. Because now we know you did it that way, you did it in that rectangular shape so that it could be the blade of an axe. And that's fucking stupid. Sorry, it just is. So yeah, in the end, Alfred figures out who he is, and Alfred goes to confront him and kind of like shut him down. It's kind of implied that like Alfred was even going to kill him. At one point, he's like, I could kill you right here and now on the street, but like Bruce was on the street talking to his mother, and Alfred's like, I'm not going to shoot you and kill you in front of your mother. Because Alfred's got his own agenda in Gotham. And he's been told by his employers, like, if there's this other player in town, if they're talking about Batman, if he shows himself and gets in your way, take him out. So Alfred, like, he thinks about killing Bruce, but he's like, I'm not going to do it in front of your mom. But then he corners him later on in these, like, high-rise towers. Apparently these were, like, big, like, skyscraper high-rise towers that were built by these really rich people simply as, like, hollow investments to hide their money or something like that, and Bruce built them. Being an engineer that he is, he helped build them. He worked on them, so he knows that they're there. He knows that they're not really used for anything, and they're just like a front. So he has set up shop with all these computers and stuff in these high-rise towers. So it's kind of like instead of having a bat cave, he has like a bat roost. It's kind of cool. And he confronts Alfred. Steals Alfred's shotgun, converts it to be non-lethal, and then he shoots Alfred in the face with it. And at first you see this, boom, he fires the shotgun, Alfred goes flying back, and you're like, holy fuck. Plus you just saw him cut a dude's hand off with an axe. You're like, does this Batman kill people? But then no, you see that like he put a bunch of like little bat-shaped pellets in the gun and converted it to like a pellet shotgun. So Alfred's not dead. And then he steals Alfred's bike, or it's revealed that he already stole Alfred's bike. And he jumps off the top of the skyscraper 1,000 feet up in the air, and that's the last shot we get in this book. And even Alfred says, like, where's he going to land? Also, I think the cape is actually kind of cool. I like the design for the cape. It's not really a cape. It's like different strips of this material that has this, like, bat wing bone structure to it that Bruce engineered himself. And he can walk on it, he can climb with it, he can grab people with the cape and launch them and throw them. It's a cool idea. I like it. Overall, this is sick. Oh, and then the final reveal that people were kind of bitching about is it's revealed at the very end of this that Alfred's main target that he's looking for in Gotham is this international criminal mastermind person who he's really rich, very, very rich. He apprenticed himself to Henry Ducard, the greatest private detective in the world, and then killed him. He apprenticed himself to Ra's al Ghul, and then I think it also says he killed him too. Although we all know Ra's al Ghul is supposed to be an immortal, so he's probably not dead. And then you find out that this billionaire, rich, highly trained, sophisticated international criminal mastermind is the Joker. But he's not like, pale skin, green hair, red lips Joker. He's just a normal dude. And the whole reason they call him the Joker is he earned that name ironically. Like they say that like this guy hates he hates jokes, he hates people trying to like make witty remarks, and he never ever smiles or laughs. And so they call him the Joker ironically. Do I think that he's going to stay this way forever in this story? No. I think that what's ironically going to happen is him and Batman are going to have an altercation, and he's going to end up disfigured and looking more like the Joker we know. And then the name that he's earned by not smiling or laughing ever is going to take on a whole new meaning. At least that's what I hope anyway. I hope he does not retain this appearance of just a normal guy. I hope at some point he does get like the green hair and the pasty white skin and all that shit. So that's absolute Batman for you. I love it. Can't wait to read more. I just really, really, really want them to ditch the battle axe. That's fucking dumb. It is. Sorry, Scott. Batman using an axe is dumb. All right, moving on to Absolute Wonder Woman. This one is probably the most like, I don't know. You get a little bit of information. Basically, this one chick is living on this secluded mythical island that's hidden away from the world, and the island is called Hell. And it's full of like monsters and beasts. It's a harsh environment. Like a human being or whoever really shouldn't be able to survive there. I'm not really sure who this girl is, but there's this redhead. I think maybe it says it at one point. I don't really think it tells you who this girl is, this red-haired chick. But she's on this island. She's been imprisoned there in Hell, which is this island, by herself, and she's been surviving there. And all of a sudden, Apollo shows up, the Greek god Apollo shows up, and gives her this baby girl. And basically this girl is Diana. It's the last of the Amazons, and says she is to be raised here with you in Hell and stay there. And the word Amazon is banned from speech. No one can say it. And it's supposed to, like, it kind of gives you the idea, fills you in that, like, the Amazons have been destroyed. Like, they pissed off Zeus or the gods or someone, and the Amazons and the island of Themyscira don't exist. They've been taken out. At least that's what you're kind of led to believe. So then this chick with red hair raises Diana in Hell, and Diana, of course, is super strong and has all these powers and abilities, and the woman raises her teaches her magic and teaches her how to fight and whatnot. And eventually, she gets to the point where she's a young adult, and she keeps telling the red-haired woman that raised her, like, there's this word that's, like, always in the back of my mind. It's always on the tip of my tongue, but I find it hard to say. And eventually, the woman coaxes it out of her, because whenever the red-haired chick tries to say the word Amazon, it just comes out as, like they can't say it. It comes out garbled and shit. But finally, she prompts it out of Wonder Woman, Diana, and Diana says it. Like, as in, like, she's an exception to the rule for some reason. Whatever magic was put into the world to, like, make that word incapable of being said, for some reason, Diana is an exception to it, and she can say it. But she doesn't know what it is. She just knows it's what she is. And the red-haired chick encourages her to, like, embrace it and keep saying the word. And then she makes some, like, armor for her and a sword. And eventually she manages to escape the island. You're not really shown how Diana got off the island, because the story keeps bouncing back and forth between present-day current events, where she's out in, like, the normal world of, like, human society, and she's, like, protecting human society from monsters and mythical creatures and stuff, and dragons and whatnot. And she's got a big badass sword. And it keeps cutting from that back to, like, her origin story on the island with this red-haired chick. And at the very end, she's confronting, like, the lead monster, and she summons up the whip, and she says, Diana of Themyscira. That's for the first time you see her say, she's like, I am Diana of Themyscira, last of the Amazons, daughter of Circe. Okay, so the red-haired chick is Circe. That's the one who raised her. She views Circe as her mother. Daughter of Circe, princess of Hell, witch of the Wild Isle. And, yeah. So, I don't know. There's not I don't really know what I'm supposed to be like expecting and looking forward to from this book. I guess you're simply supposed to be wanting to know, like, you read this and you're supposed to be curious as to, like, okay, what happened to the Amazons? Why are they gone? What's the deal with that? So, which is fine, but that's like some past shit. That's not really, I mean, I guess it's going to be relevant to current events in some way. But the biggest difference between like Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman tells you what happened in this dude's past to put him on the path he is now, and now you want to see that path that he's now on unfold. Wonder Woman does not show you what happened in the past. It shows you plenty of what she's up to now, and it makes you wonder what happened in the past. So here's like, I want to see what happens going forward, and this one you're kind of like, I want to see what happened before this. It's weird, and this one's definitely more interesting. Like, I want to see what happens going forward. I mean, obviously I'm looking forward to all of it because eventually these three are all going to meet up, and yeah, eventually, who knows how far into the future, eventually we will get Absolute Justice League. That's got to happen at some point. Maybe they won't call it the Justice League. Like in Ultimate Marvel, they did not call it the Avengers. They eventually they did, but they started out just calling it the Ultimates. So maybe they'll come up with a new name. Maybe they'll call them the Absolutes. I don't know. So finally, we get to Absolute Superman. Excuse me. And what we find is that Krypton was this highly advanced society. It's a very similar story to what we know about Krypton. Highly advanced society, highly advanced technology. But there's like a caste system, and at the top of the caste system is the science guild. Like, if you're like a sciencey, techie person, you're at the tippy tip top. And then you have like the next tier down is like what they call like the middle management guild. It's like you're educated and you're entrusted to run some shit, but you're not a science expert. You're not an expert in some kind of scientific field. And then at the very bottom, you have the labor force, and these are like supposed to be like the lowest level of the caste system. And the different symbols on people's chest denote what caste they're from. So everyone wears like their socioeconomic status on their chest in this version of Krypton. So the S here basically stands for the working class, the labor class. That's what it stands for in this. So like, it's kind of, like I said, there's a heavy theme of like, we're going to take a look at the average Joes of the world. The superheroes are no longer these like great beings who are always great. No, they come from like, they don't come from affluence or like great backstory origins anymore. They're normal people. So he's still an alien, but I mean, and so Superman's parents were part of the working class, sort of by choice. It's said to you that like his mother was very smart and brilliant and bright, but she spoke out in some way, shape, or form against what she thought was like the wrong direction that the upper class of Krypton was taking things. And so she got suppressed and forced down into the lower class labor force. And then his father also came from affluence and was a genius and very smart and was going to be accepted into the Science Guild and be one of the top members of society. But then at his graduation ceremony, he also gave a speech speaking out against the Science Guild and saying that like Krypton's going in the wrong direction. So he ended up being forced down into the labor force. And that's really the extent of where this differs. Well, it's not the only thing. There's one other thing too. But we'll get there. Other than that, though, it is basically the same thing of like Krypton is they're abusing the planet's resources, they're harming the planet, making it unstable, and they've forbidden any scientific advancement or development into like interstellar exploration. So they've basically said like, we're not going to go out into space. We're going to stay here on Krypton. We're going to make life here on Krypton awesome. Fuck space. Fuck other planets. I think that's what Superman's mom criticized them for. And that's why she got like suppressed and forced into the labor class. But yeah, it goes on to like basically the first issue here. It's two stories in one. Like I said, there's what's going on in the current events with Superman on Earth, and then it's flashing back to Krypton, and it shows the very first day like Jor-El's on an expedition with the labor force in a mine, and it shows them when they very first discover that like Krypton's going down. It's going down hard. It's the abuse of the planet's natural resources have made it very unstable, and it's going to shit. And then on Earth, in the present day, I believe it takes place in South America, and there's these like miners who are being forced by this private military force called the Peacekeepers, and they all look like They all got Peacekeeper helmets on, and Peacekeeper symbol is on their chest. So they're called the Peacekeepers, and they're this private military force that works for this organization called Lazarus. I'm kind of thinking it's Ra's al Ghul. He's not as dead as we thought he was, like from Joker. So already there's maybe potentially a bit of a connection there between Superman and Batman in this absolute universe. So, and basically Superman, Kal-El, has been popping up at these mines, and he's been doing the really hard, dangerous mining work that would result in normal human miners getting killed, and he's been doing it for them and getting it done exponentially fast, and he's been doing it in secret so that the human miners don't have to go do it and put themselves at risk and get killed. But the Peacekeeper Corps has noticed this now. They're like, this work is getting done way too fast and way too well, and they're well aware that the work is hazardous and dangerous, and more of these human miners should be dying from doing this work, and they're not. So they're kind of picking up on the fact like there's something going on here, and they know that there's some kind of being helping them, and they've been trying to catch him. And in this story, it shows up where like he helps the miners get a bunch of the stuff they're supposed to be mining out of the ground or whatever, and then he's resting up in like a cabin, and the Peacekeeper force corners him in the cabin, and he has to break out and try to fight his way out. He's in his Kryptonian suit with the working class guild symbol on his chest. There's no cape. He's not wearing a cape yet in this. And if you look at artwork for Absolute Superman, I have a couple of the variant covers here. If you look at the edges of his cape, whenever he's shown wearing a cape, it kind of fades away and gets really gritty. I'm pretty sure it's going to end up being like a nanotech cape. Not a hologram cape, but like a nanotech cape. Like where like the cape, it can come out and assemble itself, but it could also like disintegrate and fall away. That's my guess anyway. So he battles the Peacekeeper Corps, and his suit, Superman's suit, talks to him. It has like an AI function in it, and I forget what he calls it. It's not Brainiac. At least I don't think it is. It's not called Brainiac. The suit warns him that like when the Peacekeepers are coming to get him, they're like, Kal-El, you need to run. You need to leave. Like, this is not the time to fight. Your solar energy, your stores of solar energy are low. So that is another big change about Absolute Superman. This Superman is not just like a god among men, right? The normal Superman that we're used to has been living on Earth for decades, just absorbing solar radiation, and he's just permanently powerful. Like Superman's powers, it's always been said that they come from the sun, but he's never really like run out of them. It's not like, we've never really seen a story where it's like, oh, Superman, you haven't absorbed enough sunlight today, so you don't have super strength. That's never been done before. That's kind of the route they're going with this. It's like, his powers will drain. If he does not spend time in the sun, they will drain, and he will get weaker and weaker. Now, clearly he shows that even at low levels, he's still superhuman. Bullets are bouncing off of him and whatnot. That could also be the suit, the armor, I don't know. It's not really made clear yet what that is, but he's definitely shown to be still pretty powerful, even at what the suit is telling him are low levels. But it's not powerful enough, and he overexerts himself trying to fight off this Peacekeeper force, and he ends up being captured by this military organization behind Lazarus, this private military force. And what we find is that the agent that catches him and puts like a cuff on his wrist says, "This is Agent Lane, suspect in custody." So Lois Lane is not a reporter, thank God. That's like, Lois Lane is one of the most useless, boring characters in all of comics. Like, I don't know why she's there. She doesn't do anything except get into trouble and have to be rescued by Superman. Like, I understand she's been around for 80 plus years, and she's a staple of Superman mythology, but she is useless. But who knows? Maybe they'll actually do something interesting with the character. She's working for this enemy mercenary force that works for this private company. And at the very end of this, she puts this cuff on Superman, kind of tases him, and it's supposed to be like his solar energy levels are low enough at this point to where he's not really capable of fighting them off. And then that just ends, and then we get the last few pages where someone is watching all of this unfold. I'm guessing it's the mastermind behind Lazarus. We don't know. And then it shows the Kent farm in central Kansas, and it's all abandoned and fucked up. No one lives there, and it says property of Lazarus Corp. right? Meaning Superman didn't grow up there. And then it cuts back to Krypton on the day that Jor-El was on that assignment and he discovered that the planet was becoming unstable, and he comes running back home like to tell Laura, like, we're fucked. This planet's fucked. And he's freaking out. And then he asks to see his son. Where's Kal? Where's Kal? And Kal comes running out, and he's like 11, 12-year-old boy. So, like we've always kind of, it's been said already, like in the lead up to this actually coming out, this is not a Superman who crash landed on Earth as a baby and was raised on Earth and brought up as a human. This is a Superman who grew up on Krypton and was raised as a Kryptonian, so he's even more of an alien to Earth than we're used to. And I think that's interesting because as I've gotten older, I've always thought it was a little like boring Superman trying to live a normal human life. Like, he doesn't need to have a day job. There's really no reason for Superman to have a day job. He has a free crystal mansion in the Arctic. He can fly around the planet and get anywhere he needs to go for free. Like, he can literally live off of solar radiation. Like, he has no reason to have a day job. Like, why he would be trying to have like a secret identity in a normal human life, I don't know. And this kind of gets rid of that. There's really no reason for him to be Clark Kent in this at all, because he wasn't raised by the Kents. He didn't grow up on a farm in Kansas. He grew up on Krypton being raised by Jor-El and Laura. Like, he is Kryptonian. He is a Kryptonian stranded on Earth, and I think that's interesting. I also think it's interesting that he's not just at complete God mode 100% of the time. His power level can deplete. That adds an element to the character. Like, there's stakes now. He can lose. It's viable that Superman might lose. He might not pull through. So that's my take on the Absolute Universe so far. All three of these are bangers. Absolutely, I highly recommend everybody get your hands on a copy of all three of these. Read them. This is the future of DC right here. These are selling like hotcakes. Absolute Batman is still hard to find in comic book stores. It is sold out. I'm pretty sure Wonder Woman's sold out. Superman, it came out just yesterday. I would go get a copy ASAP. It will sell out. I guarantee it. People are loving this. They're loving it because it's finally, DC is back to having a stable, cohesive continuity that readers can easily follow, and it's just one linear, enjoyable narrative. Did they leave the door open in here to do like a crossover with the multiverse at some point? Yes. Am I like super excited about it and looking forward to that part? No, I don't really give a fuck. Like, I don't really give a shit about this and how Absolute connects to regular. I don't really care. I read it just because I wanted to know. I wanted to see. It's like, okay, let's see how they pulled off the creation of this Ultimate Universe. Let's see how they explained its existence and how it came to be. I just wanted to see how they did it. I don't hate the way they did it, but I'm also not blown away by it. It seemed kind of like, okay, well, I mean, like, I feel like I kind of could have predicted that, or like, it's not mind-blowing to me. I'm not blown away or in awe of like the truth behind this Absolute Universe's origin. It's just kind of like, okay, so that's how it got started, whatever. And then I was also kind of like, does it really need an origin story that ties into normal DC? Like, if you remember back in the early 2000s when Marvel first started their first Ultimate Universe, they didn't really do an origin story for the universe. They just started telling stories in the universe. Ultimate Spider-Man just came out, and they just ran with it. I kind of feel like DC could have done the exact same thing and gotten away with it, but they wanted to have some sort of connection to mainline DC. But I don't give a shit about this, because this continuity and story and narrative is so convoluted and mixed up and fuckity fuck wonk wonk. It's just, it's boring, it's dumb. This is where we're at now, people. This is the shit. Commit to this. 100% commit to this. And on that note, you can't see it based on where I have the camera, but I've added a couple more shelves to the basement. I'm almost ready to do like a tour video of the basement. Not quite there, but we're getting there. I collect, or at least I did in the past, I collected McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse toy line. I have a lot of figures of a lot of different DC characters in that toy line, but I've stopped collecting that toy line because I've just become very disillusioned with DC and the characters and the stories. I've just been buying Batman stuff from McFarlane because I'm always going to love Batman. But in terms of overall DC stuff, I haven't really been buying anything. I'm a little disappointed and surprised that McFarlane Toys and DC didn't collab, and McFarlane Toys and DC Comics didn't collab better and have a wave of McFarlane DC Multiverse figures for the Absolute Universe ready to go at launch. Like, I guess you could say, like, well, maybe they wanted to wait. They wanted to wait till they came out and see how they sold and see what the response is, because, you know, they start pumping out action figures of these, and then these don't sell well and people don't really like it. Then it's like, okay, well, no one's going to buy the action figure then. But I'm going to say this. They are selling well. People are responding well to this. People do love it. McFarlane Toys, get the fuck on it. I'm telling you, as soon as I see a McFarlane DC Multiverse Absolute Batman, Absolute Wonder Woman, and Absolute Superman figure up for pre-order, I'm pre-ordering all of them. The moment I see it. The moment I see I'm pre-ordering all of them 100%. And I'm committing to that. I will buy every single Absolute DC figure that McFarlane Toys makes 100%. So, yeah, McFarlane, please get on that. And you can do, McFarlane loves to do the whole thing with, like, you put the toy in the box, so you get the figure, and you get the comic. He loves to put the comic in there, too. You can do that, Todd. You could make an Absolute Batman figure, and you could put Absolute Batman #1 in with the toy. Same thing with Wonder Woman, same thing with Superman. And it would get more people into this story. Also, a lot of people would probably find that interesting just with how hard it is to find another copy of these right now. If they knew that they could get another copy plus get the cool toy, they'd probably do it. So, yeah. I am all in on Absolute DC. I think it's fantastic. I think it's the best thing DC's done in probably... It's for sure the best thing DC's done since the New 52. And I think with the lessons that they learned from the New 52, they're going to do this right. Like, New 52 was supposed to be a complete restart, reset, fresh new continuity, streamline everything. But they didn't stick with it. They didn't commit to it enough. This, I feel like, is the right way to go. I feel like it is going to stick. They are going to commit to it. And I also like the fact that they're not bombarding us with, like, a fuck ton of comic book series for the Absolute Universe, right? They didn't just roll out, here's the Absolute Universe, and coming out is going to be Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Justice League, Teen Titans. They didn't just bombard us with Absolute DC comic book series. Right now we have 3. Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern are on the way. And they will be coming out, I think, in 2025. And I will be getting them. But, like, at least for the time being, if I was DC, I would not go beyond, like, 7 or 8 series. I would limit it to about that. And so with these 3, plus like I said, we've got Flash, Martian Manhunter, and Green Lantern coming out. So that's 6. You could do 1 more and get away with it, and that would probably be about it for the time being. Do not bombard comic book readers with, like, 50 plus new comic book series that they have to follow. Don't do it. Keep it simple, keep it concise, keep it linear, keep the continuity, keep it steady, keep it easy to follow, and you'll be good. Cannot say enough good things about Absolute DC. That's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think. Leave some comments down below. Are you liking Absolute DC? Did you not like it? Get a discussion started. If you like this video, please hit that like button. It really helps out my channel. And if you want to help out my channel even more, check out some of my other videos and maybe subscribe. Other than that, I'll talk to you guys later.